Hi guys, again, we're back for Wednesday's language lesson, and today we're going to be on page 283 to 284. We're going to talk about comma splices today, and just where certain commas need to go when you're writing papers or just responses or just when you're writing anything. So have page 283 available. You need a pencil. Sometimes it's really helpful to have a marker or a highlighter as well. So it's coming up. There we go. Okay, so some uses of commas. There are different uses for different placements in a sentence for commas. When you're in a direct address means you are speaking directly to a person. Dad, comma, may I go to the park? We are directly speaking to Dad in this sentence, so we have to have a comma after Dad. The second one. I wonder, comma, Kyle, comma, whether the game is going to be canceled. Well, I wonder, comma, Kyle, comma, is because we're isolating Kyle in this sentence because we are directly speaking to Kyle. I can take Kyle out and the sentence would still make sense. I wonder whether the game is going to be canceled. And then we can also have a direct address at the end of a sentence. We hope you have a wonderful birthday, comma, Nancy. Who are we talking to in this sentence directly? If you said Nancy, great job. That's who we're talking to. So we can have commas in direct address to somebody. Let's look at number 2. It says to separate an appositive from the word that it renames. Do you guys remember what an appositive is? An appositive is extra information. So let's look at the example. The naturalist, comma, Mr. Stanley, comma, works at the museum. Well, the word that the appositive Mr. Stanley is renaming is naturalist. Who's the naturalist? Well, Mr. Stanley is. So we need the naturalist, comma, Mr. Stanley, comma, works at the museum. This is also true about taking out the appositive. The naturalist works at the museum. The appositive is extra information that kind of adds to your sentence, and that's why you need to have commas around it. Number 3. We need to have commas after a long introductory prepositional phrase of 5 or more words. On the face of a mountain in South Dakota, that's more than 5 words, comma, 4 great presidents were carved. Right here, we have many prepositional phrases. We have on the face of a mountain in South Dakota, right? That is called an introductory prepositional phrase. So we need to have that comma separating it. Number 4, after a dependent clause, what are independent clauses? Subordinating conjunctions. After a dependent clause at the beginning of a sentence. Before Gutzon Borglum carved Mount Rushmore, comma, he carved the Confederate Memorial on Stone Mountain in Georgia. We know that's a dependent clause, just a little bit of back review, because it starts with a subordinating conjunction before. Good. Number 5, we also need commas. Let's get you a different color here. We also need commas before a coordinating conjunction of and, but, or in a compound sentence. Remember compound sentences. 2 independent clauses joined by a coordinating conjunction, a comma, an and, but, or. The work was very dangerous, comma, but brave men stuck to the task. So if you need a review, go back and rewind so you can watch this again. But let's move on. A comma splice consists of 2 complete sentences incorrectly joined by a comma. Comma splice. People in South Dakota wanted a monument, comma, they carved 4 presidents of Mount Rushmore. Those are not joined correctly. Now, if we had and, comma, and right here, if I put a comma and, it would be correct, but it does not have that. It only has a comma. So those 2 sentences are not put together correctly. A comma splice can be corrected in several ways. First, you can make the sentence into 2 sentences. People in South Dakota wanted a monument. They carved 4 presidents on Mount Rushmore. So you can make 2 sentences. Or number 2, make the sentence a compound sentence, like kind of what I showed you. People in South Dakota wanted a monument, comma, and, oops, comma, and they carved 4 presidents on Mount Rushmore. Or you can make it into a complex sentence even. Because people in South Dakota wanted a monument, comma, they carved 4 presidents on Mount Rushmore. Remember, this is a complex sentence because of the subordinating conjunction starting that dependent clause. Okay, well, enough review. Let's go to guide practice. Right, comma splice. If the sentence contains a comma splice, and remember, a comma splice is an error. It is 2 sentences joined incorrectly by a comma. Right, see if it is correct. Number 1, Mount Rushmore was named for Charles E. Rushmore. Well, I have a question. Is there even a comma in that sentence? No, sir, no, ma'am. So guess what? That's a correctly written sentence. We're going to put a C. They try to trick you sometimes. Sometimes they'll put sentences in there that don't even have commas, and of course they're going to be correct. Number 2, some people wanted the memorial. Some people thought it was a bad idea. What do you think? Is that correct, or is that incorrectly written with a comma? If you said comma splice, you are correct. And number 3, dynamite blew off portions of rock, comma, men carved the details by hand. What do you think? It is also a comma splice. Now, what I want to do is go back and fix these sentences, number 2 and 3. Let's look. So we have 2 independent clauses, basically. We have some people wanted the memorial, and we have some people thought it was a bad idea. So we can fix this by making 2 complete sentences. We can say some people wanted the memorial, period. Some people thought it was a bad idea. Or we can make a compound sentence. Some people wanted the memorial, comma, and some people thought it was a bad idea. Or we can make it a complex sentence. We can say, although some people wanted the memorial, comma, some people thought it was a bad idea. So there's different ways that you could fix these. Let's look at 3. We have 2 different sentences as well on number 3. We have dynamite flew off portions of rock, and we have men carved the details by hand. So step 1, or the first way we could fix this is just to make 2 different sentences. The second way we could fix this is to make it a compound sentence. Dynamite blew off portions of rock, comma, and men carved the details by hand. And, or we could say comma, or men carved the details by hand. And then we can also make it a complex sentence. We can say since dynamite blew off portions of rock, comma, men carved the details by hand. So we can do that either way. So remember, there's many ways you can fix a comma splice or incorrectly written sentence with a comma together. Okay, let's go to the back of the paper. Ooh, I tried to give you it. So what I want you to do, just like we've been doing, is pause now. Do the back of the paper. It is exactly like what we just did. Then I want you to stop after you've done number 5, because we're going to go over 6 through 12 together. So please pause now. Okay, let's check. It says, same directions as the front. Write CS if the sentence contains a comma splice, or write C if the sentence is correct. Well, 3 of the sentences that we had were comma splices, or 3 of the examples, and 2 were correctly written. Let's look at 1. Mount Rushmore is a national monument, comma, it is in South Dakota. Well, that is definitely a comma splice. And I've kind of highlighted where that comma splice error is. They should have either put a period and then capitalized it, or made it compound by using a comma and a coordinating conjunction, or made it complex by using a subordinating conjunction. Number 2, Mount Rushmore is a memorial to 4 great presidents, comma, and it is a symbol of freedom. That is a compound sentence written correctly because they have the comma and the comma and the coordinating conjunction. Number 3, George Washington was the first president, comma, he is the father of our country. It's kind of like a run-on sentence, but a little comma put in there really quickly, right? So that is also a comma splice error. Number 4, Washington was born in 1732, comma, he commanded the Virginia militia at age 23. He was young. Comma splice, because we could make this compound by adding a comma and a coordinating conjunction of and, but, or. We can make this complex by adding a subordinating conjunction, or we could just make it two complete different sentences by adding a period after 1732 and capitalizing the he. Number 5, while Washington was commander-in-chief of the Continental Army, he helped gain our independence from England, and that is a correctly written sentence. Okay. And the reason why, let me go back, the reason why is because of this word right here. The word while is a subordinating conjunction, which makes that clause dependent. This is an example of a complex sentence because it has a dependent clause that I'm highlighting, joined with an independent clause of he helped gain our independence from England. Okay, let's look at 6 through 12. It says use a caret to insert any missing commas. I'll give you one hint. All of them are going to need a comma at some point. Number 6, at only 33 years of age, Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence. Now, if you want to challenge yourself, pause and come back and then see if you get what I get. But I'm going to go over this with you. Now, when I'm reading, I naturally pause. It's just a gift or a curse, I don't know. But I naturally pause where that comma should be. So listen again to see if you think you know where it goes. At only 33 years of age, Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence. If you said between age and Thomas Jefferson, excellent job. Comma. Okay, number 7. For his dream of expanding America, Borglum included Jefferson. What do you think? If you said after America and between Borglum, excellent job. The reason why that one needs a comma there is because of this word for. It makes it a dependent clause, and a dependent clause is separated from an independent clause by that comma. Number 8, after he was elected president, Lincoln led the country through the Civil War. Did you hear the pause in my voice? I'll read it again. After he was elected president, Lincoln led the country through the Civil War. That's right, after president. Number 9, because Lincoln saved the Union and ended slavery, Borglum admired him. Good. If you said after slavery, excellent job. 10. While Lincoln was watching a play, he was assassinated. I'll say it one more time. While Lincoln was watching a play, he was assassinated. Where's it going to go? Between play and he. Awesome. 11. Borglum wanted to carve Theodore Roosevelt, but not everyone agreed. Where would that comma go? If you said right after Roosevelt and before the coordinating conjunction of but, excellent job. Number 12, some thought Roosevelt was too recent, but Borglum believed he had achieved great things. Same thing as 11, good. Right after recent, we're going to put a comma there before the coordinating conjunction of but. Now, apply and write is a fun one because I know a lot of you are history buffs and you love history so much. Apply and write says this. Which U.S. president do you most admire? Explain why you admire him. Use commas in appropriate places. I really admire President Reagan, and I think it was because he was the first president that I remember as a kid. But I'm not quite sure if that's why. I just have a great admiration for him. So guys, have fun with that apply and write, and I'll see you next time. Don't forget to do chapters 7 and 8 quiz for Trouble at Silver Pines Inn. Also, make sure that you're reading your AR book and you can test from home on your AR book. Follow the link in Google Classroom under English 5. See you tomorrow.